to my channel. Today we are going to go over my top 10 books of 2022. It has been a wild year. Tons of things happened. Some of them I can't remember what happened, but I read, at this point in time, I have read 119 books this year. Probably will make it to like 120, 121, 2022, somewhere around there by the end of the year. It's certainly possible that one of the books that I'm about to be reading could surpass these, but at this point in time, these are going to be my top 10 books of this year. So I don't have these in like the order I read or anything. I just have a stack on the floor, and one book I still do not own yet that I need to get because obviously I loved it, so I do need to get it. But I'm just going to be talking about them, what they're about, why I love them, and yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So let's get going. So the first book on my stack is The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. This book was just a lot of fun. I listened to it on audiobook and the narration was amazing. I really loved it. I didn't think I was going to like this book as much as I did, but I had Scribd, so I picked it up on a whim, and man, I loved listening to this book. It's about this girl, and her grandmother dies, and her grandmother was like a huge hoarder, so she had to go, and her father asked her to go and clean out the grandmother's house. He would do it, but he's not in the best of health, and so it's really hard on him. He gives her the option, you know, we can just tear down the house, we can hire somebody to go out and clean it. You don't have to do this, but she wants to do it. So she goes out to the house and she starts cleaning. Some odd things start happening. She starts finding some things from her step-grandfather. I think that's what it was, her step-grandfather. She finds a journal written by him, and she starts to get the spooks. Like, she's walking her dog Bongo, which Bongo is just a dork, and I loved Bongo, but she's walking her dog Bongo, and they wound up coming to this weird stone place, and the stones are all twisted about, and she has like this compulsion to start trying to twist herself about like these twisted stones. And then one day she's walking her dog through the woods, and there's this huge deer effigy with like deer bones and all sorts of stuff just hanging from it, and she swears it moves. So a lot of creepy things happen in this book. There's a lot of funny characters in it. It's a perfect blend of like humor and horror. So check this book out if you are looking for a fun yet spooky read. And if you want to save it for spooky time, go for it. It's perfect for that time. No surprise that there's a Stephen King book on my list. I read Fairy Tale earlier this year. I think it was in like September, I think, or October, one of the two. But I had a lot of fun with this book. This book surprised me. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did because I really like horror. And this, to me, going into it, felt like it was going to be more fantasy. And I really wasn't in a fantasy mood when I started this book, but this book was just great. I really liked all the characters in it, including the German Shepherd Radar. This book was just like almost heartbreaking a bit at times. It made you laugh at times, and it just kept your attention, and I really liked it. It's about this boy, and he finds the old man, like the neighborhood grouchy man. He hears him like crying, or the dog starts howling, and so he runs up to his house and finds that the old man had fell and broke his leg or his hip or something. So he's able to get him to the hospital. He like calls the paramedics, and they come and get him. And then he winds up developing a relationship with this man. But then, unfortunately, eventually, and it's not a spoiler, it says it in here, but the man winds up passing away, and he is left the old man's old dog. But the old dog is getting very sick, and the old dog's not going to have long to live, Radar. So the old man had told him of a place underneath his shed that he could possibly turn back time on Radar. So he goes on an epic journey into this fantasy world, and winds up getting captured there, and so a whole bunch of stuff goes on in this book. It's very long. I mean, it's not the longest of King's. I think it's only like 600 something pages. I say only, but get to like the fantasy world until about 200 pages in. So it is a bit slow, but I didn't mind. I really enjoyed it. So check it out if you're just looking for like this whimsical fantasy read. That's a lot of fun. Another book I loved this year was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. This book, I was a huge fan of like Sam and Cat and iCarly. I mean, it's just one of those shows that I grew up on. I mean, there was tons of Disney shows, Nickelodeon shows that I just loved. And so when I saw this year that she had released a memoir, I was really curious because I loved Sam. And I was always curious what had happened to her afterwards because I didn't really see her in too much after that. So I picked up this book. I had heard so many rave reviews about it and, you know, people just saying that it was a really emotional ride, and it was. So I wound up listening to the audio because she actually narrates the audio, and it was fantastic. But, you know, it's hard to rate a book on somebody's life, but gosh, this book just really, really got to me. I mean, it's hard to see what all she went through and, you know, what all she was forced to do and influenced to do in Hollywood. So, I mean, gosh, you know, the cost of fame sometimes is a little too much, I think. So, but anyway, yeah, super sad book. It's about her life and how her mom basically wanted her to be an actress. She didn't really want to be an actress, but her mom forced her to be an actress. And so she was kind of forced into the celebrity life. And she didn't know how to break the habits even after her mother died. And so it just is a story about all that she had been through. So really good book. Another book I really loved this year was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I did read several of Kristen Hanna's books, The Four Winds and The Great Alone, which I loved The Great Alone too. It was really hard choosing between these two, but I wound up going with The Nightingale just because this was the first book I read by her, and it really holds a special place in my heart. But it's about these two sisters, and one of the sisters is kind of like a rebel, and she won't be contained. The other sister is trying to follow the guidelines that have been put in place, but the Germans invade Paris, and one of the sisters is stuck in her house. The law-abiding one is stuck in her house, and she's trying to take care of her children, but a German soldier, a Nazi soldier, moves in to their house, and really tensions get high, food shortage, everything like that. The other sister is helping Americans and all sorts of rebels to safety, and she's risking her life for it. So this book just shows like two different versions of the war, the rebellious side and then the home front side, and how each one is just as brutal as the other. So super great book. I flew through this. It's like 600 pages, but I flew through this in a matter of days. It was just so addicting, so good, and so heartfelt. So check it out. If you have not read Kristen Hanna, her works. The next book on my list is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Gosh, this book is an emotional ride. It's told through the point of view of Death, and Death is kind of going about the war, and he's watching this little girl as she grows up and her family, and it's just a really, really sad book. I mean, the sadness is kind of at the end. I'm not going to spoil anything with this book, but I remember I couldn't sleep one night, and I only had like 150 pages left, so it was like 4 a.m. in the morning, and I finished this book, and I read that one scene, and I was broken. This book will destroy you. I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm kind of scared to watch it just because of how much this book destroyed me. But it's a really, really great book, and it's one of those books that don't sleep on it. Just read it. It's so good. So good. The next book I have talked about on this channel. I read it a couple months ago, and I really, really loved it. It's A Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and it's about these two people. And our female character accidentally drives her car off the road, avoiding a raccoon. Our male character comes to her rescue, pulls her out of the ditch. She winds up going to a bar to get something to eat, and he's there. They wind up going home together, having a one-night stand, but the chemistry between them is real. And she lives about 2 hours away. So they wind up developing in a relationship, but it's hard for her and for him because he can't leave his town. She can't leave where she is because she's like an ER surgeon, or not an ER surgeon. She runs the ER, and her parents own the hospital. The hospital's been in the generations forever, so she can't really leave. And he's like the town mayor, and he runs a Airbnb or bread and breakfast. Why do I always say breakfast when I'm talking about this book? He runs a breakfast, a bed and breakfast there, and so it's two different worlds, but they definitely each want to be a part of each other's world. So super sweet book. I really liked it, and yeah, I had a blast with this book. Gucci has decided that she wants to help me talk about the last couple of books until she runs away. We shall see. Thank you. Whoa. Are you gonna fall? You got it? Okay. The next book I don't think I've actually talked about on my channel yet, but I really love this book. It was Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I think that's how you say his name, Rekulak. This book was super fun. It's about this girl, and she has gotten out of rehab. She had a drug addiction, but she has been sober. And she is given an opportunity to watch a child for like a summer or so. And so she takes the opportunity. It's a really good gig. The people seem nice. The son seems nice. So yeah, she takes it. But weird things start happening. There's some supernatural elements involved in this book. There's creepy pictures throughout this book. Let me see if I can find a picture quick. Yeah, here you go. So throughout the book, there's just creepy pictures drawn by the kid. And they get more detailed as time goes on. So it's a lot of fun. And the plot twist threw me off. Like, I was not expecting that plot twist to be like that. I had theories, but not that. So, super fun book. You should totally check it out. This book is like 400 pages, but I read it in a day. I was addicted. So, hey, I gotta get down. I gotta get down to get my book. Yeah, I know you want to kiss me, but I'm not feeling it. I'll give you that kiss though, okay? I have talked about this book on my channel. It is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This book was a whole lot of fun, if you count demonic possession, a whole lot of fun. But the power of friendship is super strong in this book. So yeah, it is about these teenagers, and one night, one of the girls gets possessed, and things start happening over time. It's kind of like The Exorcist a bit. Where it's subtle at first and then it turns into oh crap mode. So, but this one best friend is trying to save her possessed friend, and no one really listens to her, and all sorts of stuff happens. So, super great book. I just popped you in the head. I'm so sorry. I really enjoyed this book. It was a lot of fun. Plus, I loved how all the chapter titles were named after songs. Like, there's a whole playlist in this book, and I loved it. The last physical book I have, the other book, I'll just put a picture up over there. But Night Film by Marisha Pessl. I've also talked about this one a lot on my channel, so I won't spend too much time on it. But this book is super addicting. It's long. It's like 600 some pages, but I had a blast with it. It's like found footage, like cold case-esque kind of read. There's tons of multimedia involved, and I really like the story. It's about the daughter of like a cult director. She winds up possibly committing suicide, and this journalist who years ago Cordova had like screwed over, he had gotten him in big trouble. He wants to take revenge and investigate this and see if he can figure out it had any link to Cordova himself. So this whole book is about him and a couple other people investigating this, and they wind up actually going out to like his house where he filmed all his movies, and you get to see like the movie sets and everything. That was so cool. And I really liked all the pictures and everything involved in this book. Like, they have like websites, they have like files. It's so much fun. So if you're looking for a book that it may take you a little while to get through, but it's fun, you should read this book. It is a whole lot of awesomeness in this book. And then my last favorite book of this year is Carrie Soto is Back by, I almost said by Carrie Soto, by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book is about one of the characters that we saw in Malibu Rising, Carrie Soto. She is a tennis player who is very snarky, and she's been labeled some words, but she has an opinion on everything. But you actually wind up liking her in this book. Like, in Malibu Rising, you didn't really like her too much because she just seemed like snotty and stuff. But no, you wind up liking her in this book, and you get to follow her journey as she comes back from retirement and tries to take back her title, her like records from this up-and-coming tennis star. So we get to follow her throughout the tournaments and watch her kind of fall in love with somebody. So it is such a fun book. I really like Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. They're just addicting, and they feel so real. The characters feel like alive. So, but anyway, that was my top 10 books of 2022. Let me know down in the comments what books you loved this year. Let me know how many you read this year. You know, any book read is a book read. Wait, what? Any book read is a book read. You're a reader no matter how many books you read. So let me know down in the comments how many books you read this year. I'm interested to see. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Pages and Ash. Until next time.